Welcome everyone to a very special and honestly a highly unusual explainer tonight. We're going to be digging into a terrifying piece of lost media. It's the final broadcast you were never meant to hear, transmitting the doomed history of a place that, well, frankly, it no longer exists. I am absolutely thrilled, and I gotta admit, a little chilled to unpack this whole thing with you. We're going to completely deconstruct the terrifying collapse of a settlement known only as Scary Town. The rain in the square, the shadow in the fields, the ghost in the ward. Listen closely as we broadcast their final screams. Okay, so by just tuning into this frequency, you are already diving into the absolute darkest depths of this town's lore. The very act of analyzing this broadcast, yeah, that makes you a witness to its doom. What we're looking at here is literally a masterclass in extreme atmospheric dread.
So, where does this doomed history come from? Meet our primary source, the Midnight Broadcaster himself. It's this hooded, skeletal entity with piercing, glowing red eyes, just speaking directly into a rusted microphone while the entire town literally collapses around him. I'm your host, speaking to you through the static-filled void today, taking a little cue from our macabre friend to guide you through the grim anatomy of Scary Town before the signal dies forever. The main takeaway here, there is zero hope. The archivist of this town's history is death itself.
Let's take a look at how the boundaries of this nightmare are actually established. You've got these blood-soaked warnings greeting anyone foolish enough to enter, and they lead directly into endless, desolate cobblestone streets bathed in the sickly green moonlight. Let's step past those warnings for a second and right into the endless rain. The architecture is incredibly oppressive. It's deliberately designed to make you feel completely trapped. And you know, the nightmare first took root right here in the mud and the shadows of these very streets. It started in the square. Now, before the town was completely swallowed whole by supernatural forces, there were warnings. The very first sign that the shadows had definitively won was put on full display for every terrified citizen to see. They didn't hide in the dark, no, it was right on center stage. The turning point was absolutely grotesque and completely undeniable. A hanging corpse right in the village square, just left there to rot in the endless downpour, strung up high against the Gothic architecture. It serves as this grotesque monument, sitting right under the watchful eyes of circling crows. I mean, just imagine being a citizen, waking up, looking out your window and seeing that in the cold gray morning light. The psychological warfare going on here is absolutely stunning. It's basically telling the townsfolk, look, the rules of reality and safety, yeah, they no longer apply to you. The fields were no safer. Naturally, human instinct dictates flight, right? If the center of town is compromised, you run to the outskirts. You try to escape out into the countryside. But as our analysis clearly shows, that was a fatal miscalculation. Anyone who actually tried to flee past the town limits and into the autumn harvest, well, they found something ancient and colossal waiting for them. The sheer scale of this towering monstrosity stalking the pumpkin fields is just insane. Its massive silhouette rises up against the dying, stormy light, and you can see these terrified kids in the foreground clutching a lantern in the mud, just totally dwarfed by this creature. It's a masterful way of conveying just how unbelievably small and powerless the people of Scary Town were against the forces consuming them. But the fields weren't the only trap, not by a long shot. The roads leading out of town became the hunting ground for the true terror, the one that really claimed the very soul of Scary Town. This spectral woman in white started haunting the foggy roads, and the sign right next to her explicitly screams, "Turn back now." What makes this so incredibly unsettling is her stillness. She isn't even chasing you. She's just an immovable roadblock of absolute dread, standing out there under a flickering street lamp, just waiting for you to realize you are completely trapped. So this drove the panic-stricken townsfolk completely underground. But as they descended into the subterranean tunnels, they found the walls literally screaming at them to run, run, run. And it didn't matter how fast they sprinted through this claustrophobic nightmare, she was always waiting on the tracks ahead. It's such a brilliant, terrifying illustration of how inescapable this curse is. The dark is literally closing in on all sides, and the environment itself is just taunting their futile attempts to survive. There is nowhere left to hide. Because when the roads are blocked and the tunnels are completely infested, where exactly does a terrified populace go? Well, they seek out places of traditional healing and safety. They look for sanctuary. But the desperate people who sought refuge in the abandoned hospital, they were completely oblivious to the fact that they were locking themselves inside a slaughterhouse.
The visceral horror inside that ward is off the charts. The walls practically bled with her sinister presence, leaving these chilling messages like, "I saw you," written in what we can only assume is blood. You've got that rusted, filthy bed in the corner. This is the kind of stuff that just shatters the minds of those cowering in the dark. It is pure psychological torment right before the physical end.
And sure enough, here she is again, right inside the sanctuary. She just stands there, motionless, by the shattered windows of the rusted medical wards, patiently watching the whole town slowly suffocate in absolute terror. It's wild how the empty beds just draw your eyes directly back to her. She doesn't even need to look at you to command the room. She is literally the anchor of Scary Town's doom, just staring down this peeling, pitch-black corridor. The darkness completely swallows you whole. The absolute absence of light at the end of that hallway, man, this is where the broadcast truly peaks. Because in this hallway, your final screams simply become part of the nightly recording, captured by our skeletal friend at the microphone. This right here, this is the point of no return for the town. Zero. So after analyzing the hanging corpse, the giant lurker, the inescapable woman in white, and that hopelessly corrupted hospital, we gotta look at the actual data. Do you know exactly how many souls managed to escape the terrifying collapse of Scary Town? That number is absolute. Zero. Not a single one. And here's why that matters. This is the truly chilling conclusion to our lore dive. None escaped, and all that remains today is this totally desolate, ruined modern skyline. We're talking towering, hollowed-out skyscrapers, entirely swallowed by the fog and completely stripped of all human life. You see, the curse didn't just take the villagers of old. It festered, it grew, and it consumed everything until there was nothing left but a dead, silent city reflecting the dark clouds above. It's a monument to the complete and total victory of the shadows. So, we return to our broadcaster. The broadcast is ending. The static you can almost hear in your mind is rising, and the darkness that consumed Scary Town, well, it's no longer contained within its borders. It has consumed the city, and right now it's searching the airwaves for a brand new frequency. Our skeletal host has done his job, and sadly, our time exploring this terrifying slice of lost media is drawing to a close. Did you lock your doors tonight? But seriously, before we completely sign off from tonight's explainer, I have to ask you one final thing. You've seen the evidence, you've heard the broadcast, you know exactly what happens when the shadows decide they want a town. So, are you absolutely sure you are alone in the dark? Did you lock your doors tonight? Keep watching the shadows, guys, and we will see you next time. If you're still there.